مبادئ الأوديت تدقيق بشكل عام خلال الساعتين القادمات. أول شيء أحمد العلوي، أظن كل حد عارف بعد ولا يحتاج تعرف؟ كيف؟ شرف لي. زين. أول شيء نبدأ بالتعريف الأوديت. We start with the definition. What is audit? Any ideas?
It's assessment or evaluation to confirm, for example, that organization or stakeholders is compliant with the regulation.
Comply with the regulation.
So it's like a verification.
Philip. Who been involved in audit? Compliance. HSE طبعا. You also?
Environment.
والله مجربين
يلا نزين أفكاركم. What is audit? Assessment.
Systematic process
Hello?
being carried out or in the organization with different departments to make sure about verification of the stakeholders, other parties who is working in the same organization to do to comply, to make sure standardization being done well.
Standard. He mentioned standard. يعني what is said is correct, but to make it much simple, let's put it in one sentence. So it is systematic. First, vocabulary. Systematic. And it should be independent. فقط رماد الكلام. So systematic, independent. What else? Process. To check what? To check
Compliance.
compliance. Compliance against,
Regulations.
not a regulation only. It should be a standard.
Standard.
Simple. It should be systematic. أيوة one word, structure. Should be structure. What is so different between audit and inspection?
inspection not supposed يعني audit should be planned and
Coordinated.
briefed, coordinated.
With agenda.
So inspection, it can be daily
Randomly.
first.
Randomly.
Right, it can be randomly. It can
Without-
be a planned and it can be not planned.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be against a standard. And you want, I am going now to inspect the air side to see the practice over there. What is the behavior, attitude of people, how is the safety in terms of operation. So this is inspection, and it can be like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, depends. But on audit, it should be always planned, systematic, independent, structured. So you cannot go just randomly and do audit. It cannot be do like this. And it should be structured, and it should be well communicated. Okay? And what we mean by independent?
He shouldn't be from the same organization or from the same department
Okay?
because he will be maybe biased.
No, it can be by the same. For I am from Oman Airport Corporate, I can audit, for example, HSE,
No,
but
from,
we are in the same organization.
no, from the same department. Not
From-
from the same.
Okay, from the same department.
From the hierarchy يعني from the higher level to the lowest يعني
From the
Mostly.
yeah I mean I am the one who is doing the policies or something. I'm just auditing the team that they are under me. They are complying with the instruction that we passed or not.
It doesn't have to be always, because sometimes you bring third party to do the audit. So it doesn't have to be. So independent means that if I am willing to audit an activity, myself should not have any responsibility for that activity, because there will be like conflict of interest. So FM cannot audit FM, for example. Someone else which has no responsibility, which FM have, should do the audit for them. So this is independent. Doctor, any input? Okay. And it should be against a standard. So audit, you cannot go and get a finding to the auditee unless it is against something, a standard within your organization. And I am not saying here a regulation, because standard means something we developed as a Amman Airport, for example. So let's have example, SMS. We have SMS, Safety Management System. It's manual, approved by the company. So I am coming and SMS have its own, it has our own standards. Something, CC regulation giving you the minimum requirement, but sometimes we are adding on to reach the best practice. So when I am doing the audit for anything, I am checking against the standard we have in the organization. Okay? Any question? So this is the audit. Now, let's go to the process. So this map showing the process. So we start from here. So we have with what, input, and how. So in with what, it's mentioned that we'll have internal audit program, risk and opportunities. So it depends on the organization. So for example, in safety management system, we have internal audit program. So internal audit program aiming to find opportunities for improvement internally. Okay, so we are not waiting the regulator to come and find something against us. So we do it first internally to find out what's the gaps, to do the improvement before the regulator came along. And in between, for example, within a certain period of time, we can also have external auditor to check for example, to do gap analysis for the system, because that will help also to see things from different angle. Okay, so internal so audit can be internal within the organization, and you can hire someone else, third party, to do that, and it's called also external. Okay, so this is it. So it depends on in your audit. Is it for waste management, for environmental, it's for financial, it is whatever. So input. So what will be your input? What you will use to do your audit, to carry out your audit? So it's customer requirement, regulatory issues of concern, auditing requirements. So now, when you will carry out your audit, so it depends on the standard. So it's based on two criteria. First criteria is periodically. So you set periodic time. So for example, in safety management system, we say that it's every 2 years, for example. And the second criteria is upon events. If something happened, for example, accident with high severity, for example, or it's related to passenger or aviation. So you will say that, okay, I will also conduct an audit. So an audit is like proactive tools. See, in HSE, we always have different tools to ensure that we are complying with the requirements. But the most strongest tool we have is the proactive tool. So you are not waiting something to happen. So it's include risk assessment, audit, even inspection. But reactive tools, it's like when something or khalas happened, so you have like reporting system, investigation. But the thing that something khalas already happened. So audit is very strong tool and proactive tool to improve your system and process. Okay. So now you are relying on a standard to conduct your tool. Your standards also relying on a requirement, either it's regulation or best practice. When I say best practice, it can be, for example, ISO standard. ISO standard is not a regulation, but it's guidance, it's framework. So you are relying on those standards to reach to the best practice. So now how you will conduct your audit? You need to have checklist. You cannot conduct an audit without checklist. Why?
To ensure all points being covered.
To ensure all points being covered. Because without checklist, you cannot ensure that every standards and requirement is covered in your audit. So you need to have checklist. So once you have checklist, and I will show you one example of checklist, that if each element should be referenced. So I give example. You will check that for example, Muscat Airport have aviation safety policy, and it's updated. So which section in the ISMS saying that? So I need to put it, and then I will check. So now I check the airport, and I saw that they have their own policy, and it is updated, khalas, check. But if I find out it's communicated with, for example, but it's not updated, for example, the CEO changed, and the policy is still having the old CEO or old version signature. So that means this is fine. I will highlight it, and I will say, okay, this is a finding against this reference in the standard. So you cannot bring something from your standard. It should be referred to a reference in the standard. There is one thing in the audit, it's called observation. So it's observation findings, it's categorized into minor, for example, major, and we have something called observation. Observation, it's you are giving a recommendation only. So it doesn't have to be against something very clear in the standard, but you recommend something based on your knowledge and best practice. Enhancement. So, but you need to categorize it as observation. Okay. So now you have your standard, you know the regulatory requirement, you have your checklist, and you define its internal audits. So now you will conduct your activity. Now you will conduct your activity, auditing process. Now the audit itself has its own structure. Okay, we'll come to that. Now, here you have the output. With whom you will do the audit. On the other side, you need to define your auditee. You call it auditee. So is it, for example, again, for example, Muscat HSE, they are the auditee. I am the auditor. So then I need to define the objectives. Why I am doing this audit? Is it based on periodic as per the standard, or because something happened? And I need to define the auditor, my team. who will lead the each audit should have a leader. It should have a leader, and it's best that that leader have lead audit certification, so he can lead the audit. But I will always recommend that also lead auditor to have also knowledge, proper knowledge, because someone having only the certification but he doesn't been involved in any audit, so it's best to be within the team, and with time he can lead the audit. So now what is your output? You want to generate, of course, report by then. Audit should have a report always. And there is many structure for the proper audit report. I will provide example. So you want to improve the process, the culture, confirming something or corrective action to be done against the findings you have or observations. And of course, metrics, it can also enhance your audit findings that you it can be a part of or KPIs now in safety management system now. That's one of the KPIs now we have in the safety, that, for example, stakeholders should not have, for example, I can't remember, more than 2 critical findings per audit. So this is maximum they have. So if I am finding out 3 out of 2, so they are exceeding their KPIs. Okay.
We have example of the critical observation. You have.
It depends on the standard. So in safety management system, there is we have like audit procedure now in safety management system, and within the system itself, it's mentioned what means by minor or major. So it depends on the standard how you define it. Now, but in general, we have this sort of category for the findings. So now metrics will help you to see what is the progress of this year audit against last year, for example, and against the KPI you set for your stakeholders or department. So metrics is very important. And also we have repeated NC. NC it stands for non-compliance. Yes. So you find out that, for example, I am conducting audit for example, catering, transom catering. So I found out NC is like 5 last year, this year 3 only. So there is improvement. So metrics will help you to see what is the progress. Any question? Okay.
But here Ahmed mentioned repeated instances. What if
Yeah,
it is? It is the same number, but it's different.
Yes, this is another point that something is repeated over and over every year. So, for example, I am finding out having no policy, for example, and it is requirement. Next year audit, same NC. The next year again, same NC, non-compliance. So this is indicator for something that they are not, for example, taking safety seriously, and management is not involved, or something is going on. So you need to investigate more. So repeated NC. And some also organization have also this audit score. So you have like 10, 20 score. So you are putting numbers in against each category of findings. Okay, so for example, NC you give it like 5. So if they are reaching like 10 or from 10 to 15, so that means it's there is high score of findings, and if it is below, for example, 10, it's low. So it depends on your standard and your system.
Okay.
So now, of course, the audit will start with preparation process. So in preparation, you need to define your scope. What is my scope? So if I am, for example, waste management system, so my scope to check, for example, FM, auditing FM, and my standard waste management system. So I will set the scope to which level I will extend my audit. So it depends on the standard. Okay. We talk about the auditor, and that we need to select our internal auditors, and we need to put criteria. Now we have some criterion, for example, safety management system, that the HSE team should have a minimum of audit certificate, and the leader should have also lead audit certificate. So it will be a standard now. Now, in preparing for the audit, what do you think that also main elements that need to focus on while preparing for an audit? Timeline. We need to set timeline and put it very clear for the auditee. What else?
Ensure that timeline is convenient for the auditee.
That's correct.
What the document shall we review?
بالضبط.
Scope.
Scope. Which document will be reviewed and which standard will be audited against too?
And,
Very important. And one of the main elements also that the auditor should be very knowledgeable about the standard itself. Very important that the auditor team is having experience enough to conduct that audit. Okay. What else?
the agenda.
Agenda, you need to set the agenda. Checklist need to be prepared, and for some standards, the checklist already there in the standard itself. For example, in waste management plan, you have audit checklist at the end in the appendix. Also in safety management system, there is checklist. So the better that checklist should be prepared before, and it should be a part of the standard itself. Because if you allow each team to develop and create their own checklist, again you will miss something. Okay. So now you are preparing for the audit. Anything else to add? So you should have first you define your team, audit team. Again, the audit team should having the certificate and knowledge as per the standard. Depends on your standard. Also, then they will prepare the agenda and time frame. They should communicate it to the auditor. The auditor should be agree with the agenda. The auditor should also set their own team who will be with the auditor during the audit. You should provide your objectives why you are conducting this audit, your scope, and which standard will be audited against too. So this is need to be prepared before the audit program itself. Now you start, خلاص, you prepare everything, you agree on the time and agenda and agree by both parties. Now you are starting your audit. So now conducting an audit has its own structure. So this is as per ISO standard. If you can refer back also to the new procedure we developed in IMS, it's called audit procedure. It's under ISMS, internal audit procedure. I will open it also to go through it very fast.
I share it with them.
You share? Good. So now you start your audit. So audit it start with always with open meeting. So you will sit audit and auditee, welcome each other. The lead auditor should lead the audit program. He always should have that ethics and way to manage the audit in best way, ensuring that no conflicts will take place during the audit program, ensuring that auditor is committed with the time frame and both parties comfortable. The place is very comfortable and the setup is very good for both parties. This is very important because we are talking about audit, not inspection. Now in the open meeting, and you should have attendance, call it an open meeting. In open meeting, you should first introduce yourself. Then you should provide what is the scope of your audit, discuss the time frame and agenda. Okay. Then you will start the audit program. So the audit program is always start with gathering information. So it's about gathering information. So how can information be gathered in audit? There is different method to do that.
Addressing question or some standards.
What we call this?
Going for some standardization. Standardization.
Three methods to collect information. Review, interview of person. So we interview different person. So for example, if I will request to do random interview, or I will call different person from them, for example, training checklist. So I want to interview, for example, Abu Khalid. Abu Khalid I will ask question to Abu Khalid, he will answer. So I will gather information from Abu Khalid. I will ask him, what you know about aviation safety rules? He will say, Salam, maaf shay. So that's indicator for me, for something.
Yeah.
Then I will interview another person. I will see, does he know anything about policy? So if it is repeated again, so there is indicator that maybe safety policy is not communicated. Okay, so this is how things will go. Depends on what is the reaction of the viewers, and then I will continue my audit accordingly. Then second thing, document review. So I will review the document, what it involves. So I have a standard there, for example, safety management system. Now this safety management system says that you need to conduct 1, 2, 3 training program and you need this number of site visits. So please show me. So he will show me document again. Attendance sheet, reports, and etc. So I am now gathering information from those documents. Okay? See, it mentioned that you need to conduct 3 site visits per month. Show me 3 reports. I am expecting 3. He showed me 4 reports. It is going outstanding. But if you show me 2 reports, so now I am having something. That's where is the third? Why it's not being done? Maybe have a justification. Our operation is good. It's not black and white. There is always gray area to discuss. It's audit. In audit, it's not like inspection. You are enforcing sometimes your opinion, and giving instruction. In audit, you need to be to somehow agree, convince him that yes, it's against the standard. You are not doing something against the standard. Standard say 3 times, you do 2 times 1. So maybe you have justification. Okay, third method is to gather information.
Also
Yes.
site visit.
Site. So site visit, interview, document review. So this is your method to gather. Now you will follow your agenda. You
So
will
this
set.
is in the opening meeting?
No, this is after. Plus, you finish your open meeting, you will continue with your agenda. It's mentioned that first day I will start document review. And before that, you already request what document you need to review. So I need your site visit report, inspection report, how you communicate your policy. So they should prepare.
The agenda.
Yes. Then, so now you review this according to your agenda. So let's say that it's in the first day, you will focus only on review the document. Second day, you will do the interview. Third day, you will have the site visit plus close meeting. So then you have close meeting. Okay, now in close meeting, you will discuss the finding mainly, and you will put category for the findings. Is it observation measure according to the standard? You will discuss the finding one by one with your auditor, and you will provide the reference why this is finding, why this is observation. For example, this is finding because the safety management system say that you need to, for example, investigate all accidents. You found out that out of 5 accidents, 2 are not investigated. So this is major finding. And the reference is what is mentioned in the ISMS. And now you will put correction action. What is your correction action? So you write down and agree with the auditor on the correction action and time frame. So I am expecting this to be investigated within 1 or 2 weeks. He agree or not? Yes, I agree. Khalas. So one by one, they both should agree on the time frame. Sometimes maybe he is against something you find. You need to convince him that this is against something written in the standard. Okay? And so on. Once you agree, you have also another attendance sheet for close meeting, and later on you will prepare your official report.
Do we have to discuss all the findings and observation during the exit meeting?
Yes, you have to.
Or
You cannot put anything not discussed in the close meeting. You cannot.
But sometimes it will take long time.
No problem. Take your time.
we should discuss
You
it.
can discuss before when you find finding some finding, you can find it
On spot.
on spot. And this
Yes,
is
you
already
can.
discussed.
You can. But that doesn't have to be all in the close meeting. You can discuss in between, but you need to highlight it somewhere and also mention it again in the close meeting. Better.
What about the discussion about the finding? Is there any chance for the auditors to discuss about this finding?
Yes, there is. It's close meeting. We need to close the meeting with agreement in every point.
So we can reduce our findings, for example, if we discuss it in the exit close meeting, we can close some before the report.
No, the closed meeting is not to close your actions or points. It is, the closed meeting is about both of the auditee and the auditor to agree.
Yeah, or
What were the
agree.
findings, what were the observation? It's a brief discussion about the whole findings.
It's closed meeting.
It's a
for the
closed
audit
meeting
program.
about
That's
future
not the
understanding.
I know.
Yes.
But that is not a report. After this, the report comes,
Attached with the minutes of meeting, isn't it?
attached with the.
Without substance.
So it's, a closed meeting is a mutual understanding of what has been done, both of them agree that these were things found out. And as a suggestion, auditor give the points of improvement, how to develop and how to close it.
Okay. Because whatever you discuss in that meeting, it will come again in the official report later on. So you don't want the auditor to be, shocked or surprised with anything. So it should be discussed, and that even the time frame should be suitable for them to close. you want something to be restructured. Updating, for example, policies. So they need to restructure the policy, it need to be signed, reviewed by legal department, etc. And then again endorsed by the CEO. It take time. You cannot give 2 days. Need to be reasonable. We call it what's alarm? Alarm.
As low as reasonably practicable.
As low as reasonable practicable. And diamond time frame should be reasonable. Okay? So in general, this is the audit. خلاص, you will, of course, the audit report should be, you should attach the evidence as well. So if you find there is findings, for example, you should attach the evidence to have a report. And it should be go through review process as per your department process, and then send for action. Is that enough? Follow up is very important. So now you're expecting this to be closed within this time frame, 2 weeks. You need to follow up, maybe before that, within that day, after that, because as auditor, you are auditing to make improvement, not to blame. To make improvement, you want this action to be done in the reality. So your aim that those findings to be closed within the set time.
Will you be following up before or after sending the audit report?
Depends, no standard for that. It depends on the culture of your company. Do you expect that this company, this auditor will close the findings without follow-up? Do you have history? So it depends. If you expecting they will close, leave it. But then maybe you expect feedback from the auditor. But if you are expecting now, the culture is still not there, so follow up. It's faster. لا خلاص, you already sent the report. Now you are following up
So after sending the
yes, after sending the report. يعني من ثمان يوم أصدر الريبورت اليوم الثاني follow up. Give time. Give good time, then start follow up. Awesome, then سؤال close.
I have a question.
And of course, the time you will set the deadline in the report, isn't it?
Yes, in the report, and it is agreed by them. They agreed about the time frame.
Sure.
For example, can you consider it as a finding if there is something mentioned in their training paragraph, but in reality it's not reflected?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. I give you an example, me and Magid, when we're doing, for example, cargo. We noticed, for example, unsafe, consider unsafe act, they don't raise the forklift enough. When we review their training record, it clearly mentioned you have to maintain 15 centimeters above ground, because the issue that there's scratches on the ground. You can see from the forklift. Okay, what we sit during the closing meeting with the cargo manager, and he said we will work on it. It will take time because you cannot change everyone.
So Muhammad, will be observation.
This is observation.
This is observation. Why? Because does it mention clearly somewhere in their standard or it should be lifted on this
But in the
distance?
training
Yes or
report,
no?
presentation, it mentioned clear you have to maintain.
No, presentation is something else. I am talking about the standard, the audit.
The issue is my concern. Why is this? After like 2 months, he said please close this point after like 1 month from this audit, and we will work on it. But unfortunately, the accident happened because of that.
Yeah. We cannot put it as a finding because it is not against something clearly written in the standard. So put it as observation. So you can write that, okay, I have a concern about this, and we recommend this. Why you recommend this, Muhammad? Why you?
Maybe if keep repeating, you can add it to the standards. The forklift should maintain.
أنا قصدي في التريننج ما هو موجود، لكن في الواقع ما حد يسوي. أنت تشوفه كذا.
لا لكن مثلا
هو لو يمشي كذا حتى لو 10 يبين هو يمشي بكذا.
لكن ما في ستاندرد.
See, sometimes standards come from research. يعني don't expect
حتى لو دخلنا 20 واحد
British
لكن
standard
هو
they
غير
just come
عندك
and
حتى
use
5
standard and put 2 meter 3 meter على كيف there is study research and from that they come up with this standard so either you want to do a research
يعني راونا تندش
you reach to that level where you can conduct your own research according to your environment or you refer back to a standard
صعب لانك يمكن تعرف ليش
manufacturer recommendation so you are يعني
انا اشوف
انت متكي على شيء لما تيجي تتكلم
ليش هو ما
why you put work at right above 2 meter why not 3 why not 1 there is research on this
داخل الكلام يقول لك انه رفعته واجد
so you cannot put as a finding this is not a finding it's observation
إذا طاح عليه
this is good example to know what is the difference. Now, as you mentioned, you refer to a standard or best practice, and you mentioned, and there is studies in this, and you like, and you say this is fitting your organization. You can bring it and put it as a recommendation to put it in the standard. Now, once it's written, it becomes a finding. You are not.
They just seek for closing the
See
file.
the difference?
أنا أعتبر لأن against their regulation. The regulation قال لي
Whatever you cannot prepare and from your experience you feel there is something can be done more. We can do research, you recommend. And it comes, that's why you audit and the auditor should have a knowledge.
The same thing, it can be a finding in your inspection, not in the audit. When you do an inspection, in the inspection that can be a finding.
But as auditor, I cannot do this.
Not as auditor. I'm telling you
نقطة
inspection.
واجد حلوة لأنها توضح لك الفرق بين
So
finding
that
والobservation.
can be a
بس
finding.
احنا اعتبرناها finding لأن
ما تقدر تسوي
their own
finding.
regulation mentioned you have to maintain minimum 15
Does it mention in their standard?
It's an observation.
لا هي في التريننج ريكورد او تريننج برزنتيشن
بعد training record is
او برزنتيشن بس ما
is not the standard.
It's not about يعني هي finding observation what يعني make me upset إن they didn't learn from our preservation and accident happened.
No, they should يعني consider it.
Yeah.
They should consider it, even if it is not finding, but because observation can lead to accident at the end, to something, صح? So it depends. But it can, but it's best to be observation.
If it is in their training,
Presentation records,
yeah,
yes.
if it is in the
Clearly
training,
mentioned
this
that.
would be a guideline to them. It's not a policy to
So-
be enforced.
So you can recommend that, okay, since you have it in the training record, please update your standard. See that the sometimes if I am conducting audit against, for example, safety management system, so I am following what is mentioned in safety management system. We have another audit. It's called. It's not audit. It can be audit. It's you are checking your standard, what is saying in SMS against what is saying in car 100. So I'm checking document against another document because regulator يعني car 100 is regulatory document. So you cannot say anything against your regulatory document. So you want to check. So it's called gap analysis sometimes.
Between your standards and the regulations.
It is audit. It's not an audit. It can be. You can say it's gap analysis. So you want your document to be in line with this document, and also in line with the best practice. For example,
You mean like sampling? What we reflect inside the document?
but one point to highlight. For example, in Oman Royal Police regulations say that you should fast your seat belt, right? It's mandatory. You and second seat. What about the
backside.
backside seater? It's not required, صح? But if you go to video, what's there? So you can't be better than regulator.
No
You
less.
cannot be less. This is best practice. So So now you are checking your SMS. You can be better than car 100, but you cannot be less. If this saying, for example, you need to do audit every 2 years, I can say, okay, I will do it every 1 year, but I cannot say I will do it every 3 years.
You can't go below.
But if I'm the end user, for example, and then I said, I'm following the minimum requirement, your standard is more than the minimum
No,
requirement.
you should follow my standard, as long as you are a stakeholder. Why? Because you sign a contract with me. And what this contract say, you should follow that. If the contract say, I have my own safety management system, I will follow that.
And
But
but
that's okay. But mustahil.
your document should refer to something as well. It
Yes.
should not be an
No, it
opinion,
doesn't,
for
no.
example, should not put.
No, it doesn't have to be. If it is
You can
mentioned
put
in the
anything on.
contract that you will follow my standard in safety management system, خلاص you follow that. But if you have something saying that you want to discuss something, you can discuss that. Okay, guys, your standard saying this, this practice saying
There's
this.
something else.
Yeah. So it's not black and white, it's gray area, you can discuss, but it's, what is, it's kind of mentioned in the contract normally.
إذا مثل